Welcome back everyone to A Brotherly Love, Cobra Kai Season 6 Watch Party! Brace yourselves people, because Big Brother Shawn is coming back. Shawn was a breakout and hard-hitting favorite character from Season 3. You were shocked when he turned out to be Kenny's brother, but it made for a good backstory. In fact, his brute strength overpowered every scene so much he would have made a better antagonist than Kenny himself. Hawk losing to Kenny was ridiculous. He was nerfed. Hawk is better than that, but Hawk losing to Shawn, everyone would understand. But even though he wasn't antagonist to Hawk, Shawn still has a role left to play in this show. Set photos show he is fighting alongside Kenny against Miguel and Robby. Right at the top, Miguel and Robby need to win this fight. If the show's top fighters can't beat Kenny and Shawn, how could they ever hope to win the Sekai Taikai? This should be like a practice round, the warm-up. They need to win. But first, why are they even fighting? Kenny left Cobra Kai at the end of last season, and Robby was friends with Shawn, so much that he felt responsible for Kenny. What's going on here? The key is at the end of Season 5. While all the stories were wrapping up nice and neat, one story was left hanging.
Just not right now, okay?
Yeah, Kenny's storyline, specifically with Robby and Anthony, is still unresolved. The consequences of that are on full display in this set photo. They clearly have unresolved issues, but how do unresolved issues actually lead to a fight? I'm glad you asked. Let's take a look. When we first met Shawn, he was the bully of juvenile detention. He stole from other kids, pushed them around, and wasn't gonna tolerate Robby standing up for anyone. He mocked Robby at every chance he got. He was even familiar with Sam's loose proclivities and suggested perhaps he would take a turn with her as well.
Who knows? Thinking maybe she'd be drinking that dark roast next.
Bruh.
Ultimately, Robby learned the power of striking first and took a shot at him. While neither actually won the fight, an understanding arose between them. Respect was earned. Perhaps in the entire series, it was the best example of Mr. Miyagi's lesson to Daniel.
Win, lose, no matter. You make good fight and respect. Then nobody bother.
That is what Robby did. He earned Shawn's respect without winning or losing. Likewise, Shawn earned Robby's respect. It was a mutual understanding between alpha males. Then, in Season 4, things took a turn for the worse. Lapusso bullied Kenny hard and he needed an escape. Shawn pointed him in the right direction. Straight for Robby at Cobra Kai. Kenny wasn't a natural Cobra Kai, but upon learning that he is Shawn's kid brother, Robby was worried about him. He worked with Kenny directly and helped him learn tactics to get on the team. Kenny further explained what happened. Shawn was defending Kenny against one of his bad friends. It's an important point that we'll come back to. So Robby was a mentor, a big brother. He was looking out for Kenny's best interest. When Kenny started on the path a little too far, it got into Robby's head and caused him to hesitate and ultimately lose the All Valley. Sad indeed. Their bond grew strained as Robby stepped aside from Cobra Kai and wanted Kenny to do the same. Except for the first time, Kenny was strong. He wasn't being pushed around anymore or picked on. Now he was the picker-oner. It was a coveted position, apparently. He also further fell into Terry Silver's web. Silver recognized his talent and trained him personally. He encouraged Kenny to become a leader. He taught him the silver bullet. Ultimately, Kenny was able to beat a nerfed Hawk and emerge as top dog of Cobra Kai. Even Kyler understood that. It ultimately led to the Season 5 finale, where Kenny was ruthlessly defending Cobra Kai against Robby and everyone else. When the video played on the TV and he saw Silver talking about getting an insurance policy for the All Valley, he lost his faith in the dojo. He was the first one to rip off his shirt and throw it at Silver. He was done. But just because he was done with Silver doesn't mean he was ready to repair his relationship with Robby. It's what led us here. Kenny was still processing everything that happened. He obviously needed time. It's actually fair to assume he wanted to talk it over with Shawn. This is late summer, and we know Shawn was supposed to be released in the summer. So it makes sense that Shawn was probably just out and back home at this point. Kenny wanted to talk it over with him first. This is likely where season 6 will pick up with Kenny. He explained the situation with his brother. While Shawn has respect for Robby, depending on how Kenny tells him the story, he may feel like Robby took Kenny under his wing, but then abandoned him when things got a little difficult. You and I know that's not exactly what happened. Robby realized Cobra Kai wasn't right and was trying to help steer Kenny away from those self-destructive aspects. But that's probably not how Shawn interprets it. He feels like Robby just dropped him and then even fought him. This puts him on edge with Robby. He doesn't know if he can trust him anymore. His first instinct will always be to trust Kenny and to protect Kenny, and will tend to believe and side with Kenny outright. So if Kenny was only ever telling half the story, that can clearly influence his impression. Keep in mind, this show has thrived on bad communication and miscommunication since the beginning. This isn't very different. The other key element of this entire fight scene is Miguel. Now it's worth noting many think this is Anthony. I did at first. His outfit looks like something Anthony would wear. Plus, you expect to see Anthony fighting Kenny, so it's built into your biases. But no, this is very much Miguel. Now, as you well know, Miguel has absolutely no history with Kenny or Shawn. They haven't even been in each other's orbits, so it's fresh, brand new. Miguel has been in Robby's orbit from the beginning, and they have started to bond as brothers, or stepbrothers at least. It's entirely possible by this point, Miguel may feel some brotherly protection for Robby, the way Shawn does to Kenny. That doesn't mean it's exactly the same, but the brotherly bond is important. We've seen Miguel stand up for his friends before, even against someone who has already beaten him bad. So it wouldn't take much for the fight to break out. Some mistrust between Shawn and Robby leads Shawn to make a few comments to Robby, perhaps about Kenny. Miguel doesn't take kindly and steps up to defend Robby, just as he did for others before. Kenny doesn't really know Miguel and thinks he's better than him, so he steps up to defend Shawn. Miguel reacts to Kenny's move, and that sends Shawn into super protective brother mode. Robby tries to intervene, but now Kenny sees the mentor who betrayed him as coming after his brother. The whole miscommunication erupts into a karate fight. Is there a better way to settle differences? Perhaps somewhere, but not in the Miyagi-verse. The set photo gives the distinct impression Shawn and Kenny are striking first, as Robby has rejoined Miyagi-Do and Miguel is also taken to that side of karate. They aren't on the strike first side of things. Now this is obviously a posed photograph. There's no way in hell both Kenny and Shawn are missing so spectacularly like this. It looks like Shawn is punching at Miguel and Kenny punching at Robby. This is in line with the concept that Miguel stepped up and confronted Shawn after some harsh words, and Kenny is acting in tangent with his brother. Now, what is the origin of those harsh words? You can imagine Shawn is proud of his kid brother. Shawn even boasts that Kenny beat the All-Valley champion, Hawk, in the qualifier. Miguel probably throws some cold water on all that bragging. It was a biased referee. That was made clear. Kenny defends himself. No biased ref stopped me from landing the silver bullet on him. Robby agrees with Miguel. It was a biased referee and the fight doesn't count. Shawn is not liking that nonsense. You don't take away his little brother's accomplishments. They would say it's Silver, not them. But he doesn't know Terry Silver. He only sees the two guys in front of him. He gets angry and it leads to a fight. Alternatively, some have speculated this is another training session, the sort of thing Johnny would cook up. I don't think so. While Johnny is into unconventional training methods, he wouldn't arrange for them to fight at the batting cage. Daniel's fight against the hockey team was against an unknown group, not a known fighter in the dojo. So either way, the fight commences. Now in the actual trailer, we see Shawn and Robby both knocked out, down for the count. What happened? While even if the photo is somewhat accurate and Shawn begins by swinging for Miguel, they will likely trade off. At some point, Robby will fight against Shawn again. He doesn't want to beat him, just subdue him and stop the fight. At some point, they will probably take each other out. Maybe a little like another famous duo? Another possibility is perhaps Robby is able to take out Shawn, but gets a baseball to the head. Unfortunately, he didn't have Johnny's training the way Miguel did. That way it shows Robby wins his fight but is taken off guard by the environment, so to speak. Either way, it leaves Miguel and Kenny. Kenny has been looking to prove himself. He wants to believe he can win the Sekai Taikai. He beat Hawk in the qualifier, but now knows that referee was paid off. He feels like his win was taken from him. So his only choice is to beat the other All-Valley champion in a straight-up fight. There's no biased referee this time, except Kenny's ambition and aggression is getting the better of him. He is overextended, and frankly, Miguel is too experienced of a fighter. Miguel will beat him, but not too bad. He's not looking to teach Kenny a lesson or show no mercy. He just wants the fight to be over. I mean, maybe he wants to look cool in the process as well. That's normal. This could all very well be episode 1. Considering they were already at the end of summer, it makes the most sense with the batting cages and general look outside. Plus, we know Kenny will ultimately show up at Miyagi-Do. After Kenny loses to Miguel, he realizes he's pushing too hard. Sometimes you have to lose a fight to realize you're on the wrong track. He needs a little balance and seeks out an alternative style to learn from. This will also put him on a path to writing things with Anthony, which is likely where his storyline will end up. Hey, speaking of ruthless fighters, whatever happened to Dutch? Could he also be?